U.S. President Donald Trump says a ceasefire between Israel and Iran is holding, despite accusing both nations of violating Tuesday morning's truce. Israel had earlier ordered its military to strike Tehran after accusing it of firing missiles into its airspace. Iran denies doing this. Trump ordered Israel not to carry out the strike. In a post on his Truth Social platform, he then berated both nations in front of the cameras in Washington.
I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.
Well, Trump's comments and the shaky ceasefire came after 12 days of air and missile strikes between the longtime enemies. Iran and Israel confirmed the truce shortly after both sides fired a final wave of deadly missile barrages at each other.
For several people who lived in this building in southern Israel, the ceasefire came too late. Israel said Tehran fired off waves of missiles towards the city of Beersheba in the hours before the agreement came into effect, and that they targeted civilians.
It's gotten to the point where it's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of fact. We've gone from scene to scene and seen that it's constantly been residential buildings, hospitals, places where civilians go around.
Israel too launched a blitz of airstrikes before announcing it would comply with the truce, targeting what it said were missile launchers and other sites across Iran before dawn. As emergency workers responded to overnight attacks on Tehran, reports also came in that at least 9 people had been killed in strikes on residential buildings in the northern province of Gilan, and that Israel had targeted and killed another prominent nuclear scientist. US President Donald Trump had announced the truce on Monday evening, urging the two sides to respect the agreement. Iranian state TV quoted the foreign minister as saying there was no deal on any ceasefire, but that if Israel stopped what it called its illegal aggression on the Iranian people, then it would, quote, not continue its response. Just hours earlier, Tehran retaliated by launching a missile attack on an American military base in Qatar. It had given advance warning, but it still fired up supporters at home. Trump described Tehran's response as weak, and analysts also said they believe it had been intentionally limited in scope to avoid casualties, especially American ones, and a possible escalation of the conflict. On the streets of Tehran on Tuesday morning, tensions remained. Some expressed cautious optimism, but said they wished a truce had been agreed earlier.
I haven't slept properly for 12 nights, and today, after 12 days, I finally came outside, heard about the ceasefire and decided to go for a walk. And if there's peace, why would I be against it?
In Israel too, the situation remains charged, with foreign nationals using the window to flee, and both sides already being accused of violating the deal just hours after it was supposed to take hold.
Our Middle East analyst Shani Razanis is with me in the studio. Shani, Trump says that both Israel and Iran have violated the ceasefire. What are the prospects for this ceasefire holding?
Well, hopefully very high. Trump is pushing very strong in the talk he had with Netanyahu after the announcements that we've seen earlier today. He's very clearly saying this needs to hold, and the Israelis have complied and got the message, basically got their airplanes that were already in Iran to bomb a radar and come back home. Nobody wants to see it crumble. The interests of both sides to bring this to an end are still strong and valid. And Israel, especially after having kind of dragged Trump into this conflict, made an obligation that, you know, it's not going to get any worse, and it's going to be actually the ending of it. It's going to be very hard for Israel to be the one bringing, this into a bigger mess than they promised Trump.
Both Israel and the U.S. say they have their bombing of the nuclear facilities in Iran have have severely degraded Iran's ability to pursue its nuclear program. Iran, on the other hand, says it's continuing with its nuclear program. What do you make of all that?
Well, you make what you can expect. You know, Iran will never going to admit that it doesn't have anything. It needs to hold some cards for the negotiations. It also needs to hold on to the idea of holding on to the nuclear, because that's a big symbol of the regime and its resistance and its defiance of the West. And it's also, of course, on a practical level, almost an insurance policy for the Ayatollah Khamenei. He really wants to hold on to that. Israel and the U.S. have managed to agree on the ceasefire only because they feel like no matter how severe the damage is, even if it's not complete obliteration of the program, as Trump has quickly announced after the U.S. attack, it's a severe enough damage for Israel and the U.S. to be secure enough. It's going to take Iran long enough, and they will be able to monitor any actions to rebuild that program.
Shani, stay with us because while tensions between Israel and Iran remain extremely high, Israel is involved in another conflict, of course, in Gaza. The humanitarian situation there continues to worsen. Officials in the Palestinian territory say that at least 20 people were killed today while trying to access aid from a distribution point. We have this report with a warning that some of the images in our report are of a graphic nature.
As the world looks to the skies of the Middle East, on the ground in Gaza, streams of injured and dead flood into hospitals. Gaza's Civil Defense Agency says Israeli forces killed more than 20 people and injured around 150 on Tuesday while trying to access food. Israel hasn't yet commented. How long will this situation go on? How long will people have to endure this? We want a solution for these victims who are dying. On Monday, several people were injured in a crush when they flocked to retrieve aid from this truck driving through northern Gaza. I'm a human who needs to eat. I have no food, no shelter. All the people have been exhausted. When we come and wait here, I swear we are like surrendering ourselves to death. By God, we are walking into death. There's no solution. If you want to feed us, feed us. If you don't feed us, kill us. If you don't want us to live a decent life, then kill us. The UN Human Rights Office says the Israeli army has killed over 400 people trying to reach food distribution points. In some of its strongest condemnation yet, it also said that the weaponization of food for civilians constitutes a war crime. The small amount of aid reaching the territory is being delivered by a new scheme called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, backed by Israel and the United States. It has been widely criticized by the UN and other aid organizations, but Israel says the new scheme is necessary to prevent Hamas stealing aid, despite repeated warnings. But Gaza's 2 million people face starvation.
So, Shani, as we just saw there, the humanitarian situation in Gaza remains desperate. Where do things stand now in terms of the conflict itself? Any movement towards resolution?
Well, the good news of the day is that Qatar is saying it's working, it's resuming its work on negotiations on a deal between Israel and Hamas about the hostage release that will also hopefully bring to the end of the war. This is ongoing, and we know that there was no chance for any breakthrough as long as Israel and the world were focused on the conflict with Iran. So that's the good thing. And there's talks in Israel there might be a breakthrough for some reasons, several reasons. First of all, the pressure on Israel, but definitely when it comes to hostages family, is growing. Netanyahu is under great pressure, but also Netanyahu is emboldened. He is today politically stronger than he has ever been in the last 20 months. And if he chooses to do so, many believe he can stand the opposition on the right, because even if they will try to impose election because Netanyahu choosing to end this war, he will have probably good chances in winning again. So the families of the hostages really very much hope that this might bring Netanyahu some incentive to bring this war to an end, which means also bringing the hostages home. It's still yet to see if this is happening, but we know that the Americans are very much pushing. Qataris are back in the picture, and hopefully we'll hear some news going in the next days.
Shani, thank you very much. Our Middle East analyst, Shani Rosanas.